Hello. Today we're going to learn about Java arithmetic, operators, and if statements. Welcome to lesson 3. Java arithmetic. This is basic mathematical equations. In Java, we use an operator in our variables to run the arithmetic. We have addition with the plus sign, subtraction with the minus sign, multiplication and division with the star and forward slash, and we have the remainder, which is called the modulus, the percent sign. Most of these are self-explanatory. The modulus equation, x percent of 7, will return the remainder. So if we did 10% of 7, the output would be 3. So let's go ahead and run into the application here, just so we can check it out and see what happens. Here I'm going to create a new application. We call it lesson 3. And we'll start by initiating an integer called first number. We'll just call it x. Set it equal to 5. And we'll do another integer called y. We'll set that equal to 3. Down here, I will do a generic system.out.println to show you the variable. We'll do x. So if I were to run the command right now, it should put x equal to 5. Okay. So now let's use a couple of our operators and some arithmetic to change the value of x. So we can do x is equal to x plus y, which should return 5 plus 3 equal to 8. Run it, we get 8. Now let's go ahead and continue on. We want to do x is equal to x minus y, which should be 8 minus 3. Return us back to 5. And here we have 5. So, let's continue on. Let's add our multiplication. X is equal to x times by, let's times it by itself. So, this should output 5 times 5. And we should return 25. There we are. Now let's add some division. X equal to x divided by 5. We want to return, well, that'll return 5. So we have 25 divided by 5. And we should return at 5. Run our command. We have 5 now. Okay. Now let's use our modulus. X is equal to x, which is 5, mod 3. So that is 5 divided by 3, and it returns the remainder, which should be 2. And here we have 2. Okay. So we're just kind of practicing our math there. We could have used numbers instead of x. I just wanted to show you that different variables could be used here to store data and manipulate data. So let's continue on with our lesson here. Now we want to use and check out the Java operations. So we have several operations here that we can use to evaluate codes. We have is equal to, which is the double equal signs. So for example, A is equal to B. Is not equal to, which is the exclamation point and the equal. A does not equal B. Greater than, less than or equal to, and greater than or equal to. To use these, we have to kind of put them into some kind of statement. We could use a while statement, or we'll go ahead and use an if statement for this lesson. We'll go ahead and do while statements further on when we talk about repetitive loops. So for the if statements, we'll start off with if, and then we'll evaluate a statement. If the statement is true, what's within the brackets will be processed. We could also do else if statements. to signify a secondary statement. If the first statement is not true, it'll evaluate the second if. If that if is ran true, it'll process the second information. And lastly, we can have our else. If everything else fails, process this information. So let's go ahead and take a look at it in the programming scenario. So let me clear this up here. So right now we have integer x equals 5 and integer y equals 3. So let's start our if statement. If x, and we'll say, is equal to y, system print they are equal. So now if we run this, nothing should happen because they are not equal. As you can see, nothing did happen. But if I set y equal to 5 and run it, you'll see that they are equal because they are the same values. So we'll go back and put it to set to 3. And we'll add on a nested if statement. So else if x is less than y, system dot out dot print line, x is less than y. Now if I run this, you'll see that x is greater than y, and they're not equal, so nothing should happen. And again, nothing happens. So let's continue on and add another else nested if statement. If x is greater than y, and we will say system dot out dot print line, x is greater than y. Now, in our scenario here, x is greater than y. So let's go ahead and run our application, and we'll see that x is greater than y outprints to the line. So it ran through the first scenario, it saw that x does not equal. Went to the second scenario, it saw that x is not less than, or is not less than y. So it skipped that if statement and went to the last if statement. Now, we could also add another else statement here. Else, and since this one, we've pretty much covered all the scenarios, this scenario will probably never be ran here. But let's say, for instance, we took out this nested if statement right here for the greater than y, and now we ran our script. It would say x is not equal to y, x is not less than y, so it ran the last else statement, this scenario where we ran, and printed that to the screen. So there's a little bit about operators there. Another one that we could kind of try out and test here, if x does not equal y, we could say x does not equal y. Now, you might think, why is this important? Well, let's say we were evaluating passwords. So we have a string, saved password. And this is the password that's saved in our database. And we're going to say this is a very unsecure password. Now, let's say we have the string inputted password. This is the password that the customer inputted into the system. Now, we want to check and see if the customer is actually entering the right password to log onto our system. So we say if saved password is equal to inputted password, we're going to grant them access to our system. But if they're not equal to each other, we want to deny access. Now, as you can see up above, my script is giving me a warning. That's what's done by the underlining here. So it's saying comparing strings, use equal to or does not equal to. So let's say what it says when we all enter on it. So it wants us to use the equals command, but we're going to go ahead and try and run the script here as it is for now. and you can see it saying access denied because saved password does not equal inputted password. However, if they are set equivalent to each other and we run the script, likewise it says access granted because we are inputting the same password.